Hey guys, Marstingen here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle video, and so today we are looking at the team building guide for the EZA upcoming for the OG Super Saiyan 4 120 leaders, STR Super Saiyan 4 Goku, and AGL Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. So it is a combined EZA. It's the Destined Rivals Saga 3. So if you remember, fairly recently on Global, we had the Destined Rival Saga 2, which was the Kaioken Goku and the Gallic Gun Vegeta. So they're continuing on with that theme. So you do fight both of them later on. It is one event to EZA both units. They do give you more stones than a normal EZA, but it isn't double, unfortunately. So as you can see here, the first 5 stages you fight Goku and then Vegeta, and you get 1 stone for each of those. Then for the next 5 stages you fight the TUR Goku and then the TUR Vegeta, and you get 1 stone for each of those. And then for the final 10 stages you fight both of them at the same time, but you get 2 stones for each stage instead of 1. So overall you get 40. So it is a little bit disappointing that you don't get 60. I guess the trade-off is the fact that we're getting both EZAs at the same time, but I'm sure some people would rather have had them staggered out and get 2 lots of 30. But there you go. So, I mean, you get 40 stones, you get 5 Kais of each type, which is obviously enough to get both of them to SA15 without having to use any of the Kais you already own. And you do get a few orbs. I don't like it when they do these 2 units at the same time, because you don't get enough orbs to fully rainbow out a unit. Like, when it's just 1 unit, you end up getting, I think it's like 11 Kais when you only need 5 for that unit's EZA. So you end up with a bunch of spare ones, and then the same with the orbs. Whereas when they do it for 2, you basically just get the resources you need for those units, which is fine, but it's nice to have a few extra spare ones. And then there are the missions as well that will allow you to get 3 extra stones for doing the full EZA, and it's per character, so that means 6 in total. So 46 stones will be the total once you've completed the event and fully EZA'd both Super Saiyan 4s. So the weakness category is artificial life forms, so we'll jump over and have a look. In fact, just to confirm here to show you guys, because obviously we're going to go over team units you want to bring. Once you get to stage 20, STR and physical units get an 80% damage reduction. So no STR or physical units, basically. If you really are desperate to fill the final slots on your team and you just don't have a lot of artificial lifeform cards, you could bring an STR or physical unit who are really, really good at tanking, but they're just not going to do any damage. So they're literally only going to be there to serve as a tank. But yeah, so basically AGL, Tech, and then Int only is what we want. So artificial life forms, obviously that works out because the leaders are all Tech and AGL. So, I mean, they always make it so the type advantage colors will be usable in these EZAs. So I pretty much figured AGL and Tech would be up for the team building, and then I just needed to know which of the other types were allowed or had the damage reduction before we made the guide. So there's a fair few units. It's not a huge category overall, but as always with these videos, let's go through my top picks and my honorable mentions. If there's a unit I miss or you think I should have talked about more, obviously feel free to let me know down below in the comments section. So make sure you smash the like button if you found this guide helpful, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We are on the goal of getting to 10k subs by the anniversary, and we are getting super close. You guys have been smashing it lately with all your support, so please do subscribe if you are not already. So, jumping straight in, we have the Tech Exchange Buu. He technically is the main Dokkan Fest leader for this category. HP and attack 170, defense 130. He's not the best unit in the world, but I mean, EZAs are not super difficult content, so he's going to be okay on the first turn. Then obviously he transforms into the Evil Buu. He does get damage reduction, stunning obviously we can't do, but he does also have a built-in chance to dodge. So he's going to be pretty decent. It's very unlikely that you're going to get to turn 7 unless maybe you're going way past stage 30 because you need a bunch of extra Zenny. So you're probably never going to see the Super Buu. If you are using Exchange Buu. I would recommend probably bringing him as a friend if you don't have him, just because he is the highest version of the leader skill, but I don't think this event is going to be that difficult. So if you don't have him and you can't find any friends, it's not the end of the world. I don't actually have him, so me and I think a lot of other people will be using this man right here as their leader, the LR Super Baby 2. he gives 130 to stats and 4 key. The 4 key, I guess, is nice, especially if you're bringing a bunch of LRs. And 130 should be plenty to get you through the first 30 stages. If you want to go past stage 30 to get Zenny, it might start getting a little bit harder quicker. But this leader skill will easily get you through the first 30 stages. So Baby is really good. Obviously, when you're fighting a pure Saiyan, he gets extra key and extra attack, which we will be all the way through this event. So he's going to be a little bit more effective. And of course, if you drop below 40% HP, he does have a high chance to transform into the Golden Ape. And that's going to be super useful in an EZA because it gives you a couple of turns where you don't have to take any damage. And he does get extra key per orb obtained, so it's a bit easier to get the super attack for him, because that is always the biggest issue when it comes to Great Ape units. So then we have the Cell Juniors. Obviously, they've been in the general pool ever since the Worldwide Celebration. They do have an Artificial Lifeforms leader skill 120. So if you really are strapped for a leader, you can use them. They're not the best unit in the world, but they're pretty decent. They get a bunch of extra attack per Artificial Lifeform category ally on the team, which is probably going to be the whole team. And then they get an additional super guaranteed when you have a Cell, Perfect Form, or Perfect Cell on the team. They don't link super well with the Perfect Cell. In fact, sorry, they have to be on the same turn. And they don't link super well with other Cell units, which I always found kind of weird. But if you are bringing support units, I guess that doesn't matter too much. And they can work well together. And then, of course, the final option for the leader is the Prime Battle Cell. Has a 100% stats and free key leader skill. But he's a solid unit for this event. Even if you don't use him as a leader, I would say he is definitely worth bringing on the team. Even though he gets flat boosts, they are quite high. His stats are quite high. His 12 key super does regain you 50% HP, which is always nice in EZAs because you can't heal using items. His 18 key is obviously going to do more damage, but you can't lower attack later on in an EZA anyway. But he will definitely be very useful. So next up, we have our first honourable mention. Well, I say honourable mention. He's probably a top pick, I think. The LR Cell. Now, the reason for this is he's a pretty solid unit overall. Obviously, he's int type, so he's not going to be getting the damage reduction. Neither of the enemies are physical, so it's not like he has type disadvantage. He's a very solid unit. I feel like he's underrated. Even after the link level update, all the Cell units did get a lot better, but people don't really talk about Int Perfect Cell all that much. And one of the reasons why he's going to be super useful in an EZA is, as we've already mentioned, you can't heal using items. If you drop below 30% HP, there's no turn restriction. This man will transform into the Perfect Cell and give you a full heal for free. And then, of course, once he's transformed, he is very, very powerful. And if you transform early on, maybe you're going past stage 30, get into some of the harder stages. If you take a big super attack on turn 1, you could transform with him on turn 2. And then 3 turns after transforming, he can use his active skill. Now, again, this is very unlikely unless you're going into the harder stages past stage 30. But he's definitely going to be very useful. Even if you're just using him as an off-rotation, kind of like as an emergency medic, he can be very useful. So next up we have the Metal Cooler Army. They're an overall solid unit. They've aged fairly well. They're definitely on my list of units that I want to link level and see how good they are at full link level 10. But they are pretty good. If you put them in slot 1, they obviously raise Extreme Allies attack by 30% for 1 turn if you get the 18 key super attack. The more HP remaining, the more defense they have. So obviously at the start of an EZA, they're going to be a lot more powerful. They also have a high chance to launch up to 2 additional attacks, which can each become supers. So if you get the God RNG with their passive and like skill orbs and stuff like that, hidden potential, they could potentially super attack 4 times in 1 turn. And they have pretty solid links. Obviously, if you bring the Int Metal Cooler support, who I'm sure we'll mention at some point, they work very well together as well. So next up we have the Buu Piccolo. So some of the units that we're going to talk about are on power absorption category, and he does give those allies 30% attack, 50% defense. He has a medium chance to dodge built in, so obviously that's very useful. And he recovers 15% HP at the start of the turn. He also is self-sufficient for key, giving himself 3 extra, and he has 150% attack and defense. So he's a very solid unit overall. If you're not bringing any power absorption units, he might not be high on your list of priorities, but he's fairly solid with the built-in dodge healing at the start of the turn. So he will be quite useful. Obviously less useful the less power absorption allies that you have. But speaking of power absorption allies, we have the good old 1-2 combo of our boy Android 13 and then the legend himself, the channel mascot, Super 17. So these two together obviously make an insanely good rotation. They link up super well. As long as you have 2 or more other Android allies on the team, Android 13 will transform on turn 5, which you may not get to unless you get to the later stages or the harder stages past stage 30. But especially when you have a Goku enemy around, when you're facing a Goku, he gets an automatic crit. So if you focus on the Vegeta first, Goku is going to be left, you're going to have type advantage over him, and then you're just going to absolutely destroy him. And then obviously Super 17, he builds up his attack and everything by getting hit multiple times, as well as his damage reduction. So by the time he's been hit the maximum number of times, which is 5 to max out damage reduction, he's going to be super good at tanking. He gives target Goku category allies an extra chance to crit, so that helps out any units that are on that category as well. Obviously 13, once he transforms, he's going to get guaranteed crits against Goku anyway. But if you somehow do end up killing the Goku first and only have Vegeta left, that's obviously going to be a fairly useful buff for getting some extra crits. So I definitely will be running these two as a rotation. They will be very, very effective in this event. So next up we have the Tech Buff Buu. So Tech Buff Buu, after his EZA got really good, he raises defense on super attack. He gets more attack and defense based on the more HP you have. So obviously at the start, again, he'll be a lot more powerful. But when you do drop below 80% HP, he does pick up 20% damage reduction. So that can be very useful. And he recovers 5% HP at the end of the turn if he took an attack, which can be pretty useful as well. Because in EZAs, when you can't use items, anything that can give you free healing can always be very useful. So next up we have the 50% support second form Cell. Obviously if you're bringing a lot of extreme tech units on the team, he's going to be really, really good for giving them those extra buffs. We've covered a bunch of non-tech units so far, but there are some very strong tech units you can bring. Obviously, if you're running the Exchange Buu lead, or even if you're just using one as a friend, we've got the Prime Battle Cell. We will talk about the actual Tech Perfect Cell as well. So he can be very good. He changes orbs. Obviously, he has a nuking style passive, so the more orbs you pick up, the more attack and defense he has. So he can be very, very useful. So yeah, the Tech Perfect Cell, obviously very good, especially if you are bringing that support cell. He has the nuking style passive, so the more orbs you pick up, the more attack and defense he has. He also gets bonus key from rainbow orbs, and then on super attack, he recovers 10% HP. That's basically one of the main reasons why he's a mention here, because especially paired up with that support cell, you can get a ton of orbs with him. He can tank really well, and then of course he heals on super attack, which, as I said, is always good in an EZA. So next up we have the Int Kid Buu. The rotation of him and the Tech Buff Buu is really, really strong, and he heals on super attack. So because Buff Buu ideally wants to be in slot 2, you can put Kid Buu in slot 1. He could probably take a couple of hits in slot 1. He might take a little bit of damage because he's not the best tank in slot 1, because he does also raise defense on super attack. But then he super attacks and he recovers 12% HP. So even if you've taken a little bit of damage before he gets to attack, he then attacks and heals you, and then Buff Buu goes super well with him in slot 2. So when your HP is 30% or more, Margin Power category extreme allies get an extra key. So obviously that helps out with the Buff Buu as well. And when HP is 50% or more, extreme class allies all get 1 key. The Margin Power is when 50% or more, extreme class is 70% or more. So he can provide a little bit of support early on when you have decent amount of HP as well, which can definitely help if you're bringing a whole bunch of LRs. So then we have the TUR Metal Cooler. I mentioned him when we talked about the Metal Cooler army. He's just a really solid support unit. He gives all extreme class allies 3 key, 40% defense and 30% attack. So that nice little bit of extra defense is definitely beneficial for a lot of units. And then the final honorable mention we have here is the Int Buuhan. He's a little bit outdated now, but he is still very strong. He has the nuking style passive. So again, you want to get as many orbs as possible. But whilst also increasing his attack and defense, he does heal you 10k HP per key sphere obtained. And if he delivers the final blow on one of the 2 enemies in the EZA, he will recover 15% HP at the end of the turn, which can be very, very useful. You can't lower attack, but obviously does immense damage regardless of whether you get the Ghost Kamehameha or not. So he is a very solid unit. So going back to the list to see if there's anyone that I should have mentioned that I didn't. I mean, the Angel Cell is okay, but really only on a full Otherworld Warriors team. I guess we should have talked about Rildo, because we are bringing a lot of AGL units, and just like the Cell, Rildo is the 50% support unit for Extreme AGL. So actually I should have mentioned him, because for people like me who don't have the tech Exchange Buu, I'm going to use Baby as my leader, and I'm going to be running the Super 17 and Android 13 combo, so having this guy on the team is going to be massively beneficial for buffing all of the Extreme AGL units. This Cell doesn't have his Awakening on Global. The AGL Kid Buu is pretty bad. Janembu is actually good. Sorry, Baby Janemba, if you did get him from the Heroes banner. Sadly, he's one of the few Heroes units that I didn't get, but he does recover HP at the start of the turn. He has a built-in 50% chance to dodge, so he can be pretty good, especially defensively in the harder stages, but he is a much rarer unit that a lot of people are potentially not going to have. Bio Broly is, you know, he's a great unit, but we didn't talk about him. And then in terms of the other int units, none of these guys are really particularly stand out here. So there you go, the artificial life forms. In fact, if we have a look at the list here, it doesn't say super types get a reduction, which often these events do. They give a reduction against super or extreme type. So technically, if you can use super type units, the Skinny Buu is really good, because he has a huge amount of attack and defense for the first 8 turns, as well as having a 50% chance to dodge. And the Tech Mr. Buu is pretty decent. He's a good healer. One of his main utilities is that he can lower attack though, which you can't do in this event. So you could actually use those as well. So let me know what you guys think down below. What is your team build going to be? Let us know. If you need any further advice, obviously feel free to ask further questions in the comment section. People are always super helpful. And like I said at the beginning, if there's a unit that you think I should have talked about more, or an aspect of their kit that I missed that you think would be useful in this event, feel free to continue the discussion down below. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.